I came home early that day because the supplier in Tulsa screwed up a tire order. I was pissed, frustrated, and hungry, not in the mood for any more surprises. But when I walked through the front door and heard Lisa slam her laptop shut like it was on fire, my stomach sank harder than it had all week. My name's Dan. I'm 45. I live in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, and I used to think I had the kind of life people work their whole lives to get. Built a chain of auto shops from the dirt up. Started with one busted-ass garage and a rusted-out lift. Lisa was there when I opened it, answering phones, managing invoices, staying late to clean. We raised 4 kids on those greasy paychecks. We made it through rough years and tighter ones. We were solid, or I thought we were. She sat on the couch, pretending like I'd just startled her mid-tax season. "Oh, hey babe," she said, closing the laptop slowly like I didn't just see her panic. "Just working on some inventory stuff for Dr. Redford. Dr. Redford, her new boss at the optometry clinic. The man she now did off-site meetings with every other week." I just nodded and dropped my keys in the bowl. I didn't push it. Not yet. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. But after that day, I started noticing things. Her phone never left her hand. She took it to the bathroom, slept with it under her pillow. She stopped making dinner, and when she did show up, she barely ate. Said she was too tired or already ate at work. She used to ask about my day. Now it was like pulling teeth to get her to look up from her screen. A couple weeks later, I walked into the kitchen around 10. The lights were off. She wasn't waiting up. Again, our daughter Rachel, 18, was still awake on the couch doing homework. I asked if her mom was already asleep. "She's in the room," Rachel mumbled. "She was on the phone earlier, talking really quiet." I froze. I didn't ask with who. I just nodded and told her goodnight. Lisa used to laugh loud. She used to fall asleep on my chest watching TV. Now she kept her distance like I was some guy she barely knew. She still wore her ring, but it was like wearing a jacket in July. More habit than love. I didn't have proof. No texts, no lipstick on collars, none of that. But I've worked with liars, thieves, and smooth talkers for over 20 years. I knew when someone was hiding something. And my wife? She was hiding something. That Saturday morning, Lisa came down the stairs in jeans and that gray hoodie she always wore on errand days. She grabbed her keys from the counter and called out, "I'm running to Home Depot. We're out of light bulbs, and I need a new wrench for the toilet handle." I didn't even look up from my coffee. "You need a wrench for a toilet?" "Yeah," she said, all casual. "It's sticking again." She was gone 5 minutes later. I was still at the table when I noticed her laptop was open on the couch, screen still lit. That never happened. Lisa guarded that thing like it held nuclear codes. I walked over slow, stood above it for a second, just staring at the screen. Gmail was open. The inbox was loaded with unread messages. One from someone named Brandon. Subject line, "Last night was perfect." I didn't think. I clicked. "Hey beautiful. I still taste you on my lips. Can't wait till next time." Counting the hours. I scrolled. There were dozens. All him and her. Different dates, different cities. "I love you. When it's just us, everything makes sense." Her replies hit harder than his. "Dan's asking questions. We might need to lay low for a bit. I want a future with you, not this life I'm stuck in." He won't understand. He never does. My mouth went dry. My hands started shaking. This wasn't some fling or late-night texting crap. This had been going on for months. Maybe longer. This was planning. This was intentional. I read until the words blurred. Scanned phrases I never imagined I'd hear from Lisa. The woman who used to tuck our kids in while covered in motor oil and baby spit. The woman who used to roll her eyes when Rachel brought home boys from school, saying men are trouble. She left her wedding ring on in those photos they sent. That stung more than anything. I closed the laptop, sat back on the couch, and stared at the wall. 10 minutes passed. Maybe 30. I don't know. I didn't move. When she walked back in, carrying one tiny Home Depot bag, I looked right at her and said, "You forgot the wrench." She blinked. "Huh? You said you were getting a wrench." "Oh yeah, they were out. I'll go tomorrow." I nodded and forced a smile. "Cool." She kissed the top of my head on her way to the stairs. I didn't flinch, didn't blink, just sat there, knowing every word out of her mouth was garbage. That night, she got in bed before me, rolled away, like she always did now. I sat on the edge, staring at the floor, trying to breathe through it. I waited until the house went still. Around 2, I finally spoke. I read your emails. She stirred. What? I read them. You left your laptop open. She sat up, her voice tight. You went through my stuff? I clicked an open email. Lisa, don't spin this. She crossed her arms. You're being dramatic. It didn't mean anything. Didn't mean anything? I laughed, not because it was funny. You told some guy you want a future with him. She rolled her eyes. We've been off for a long time, Dan. You're never home. You care more about engines than people. No, I care about this family. That shop kept us fed, paid for braces and band uniforms and your damn yoga classes. Her voice sharpened. You don't get it. You never listen. Brandon listens. That name. I swear, it made my skin crawl. Brandon. I stood up, grabbed the duffel bag from the closet, and started throwing clothes in. No yelling. No slamming drawers. Just quiet, cold movement. She followed me down the hallway. You're seriously leaving? I zipped the bag. Yeah. I'm not going to be the guy begging his wife to stop screwing someone else. It wasn't even physical for most of it, she snapped. Then congratulations, I said, walking out. You cheated emotionally first. Even more pathetic. She didn't follow me outside. I started the truck before the sun came up and didn't look back once. I pulled into Clay's driveway just after 6. He was already up, coffee in one hand, kid's lunchbox in the other. He took one look at my face and opened the front door without a word. Spare room's clean, he said. Make yourself at home. Clay was my younger brother by 2 years. Single dad, 3 kids, and a no-bullshit kind of guy. His wife split on him back in 2018, so he knew the drill. He didn't ask questions until after his boys were off to school. Lisa? He asked, leaning on the kitchen counter. I nodded. She's been seeing some guy named Brandon. Found the emails. He let out a slow whistle. Damn, my phone buzzed for the 3rd time in 10 minutes. I didn't even check who it was. Let me guess, Clay said, smirking. Now she wants to talk? Begging first. Then came the guilt. Then the blame. By lunchtime, the text tone made my jaw clench. Dan, please just come home. You're blowing this out of proportion. We were just talking. You know we've been distant. What about the kids? Yeah, what about the kids? Rachel called around too, her voice cracked and frantic. Dad, what's going on? Mom's crying. She won't tell us anything. Did you leave? I sighed. I'm staying at Uncle Clay's for now. Is this because of that guy? The one she was always texting? I paused. Yeah. She started sobbing. I could hear her trying to keep her voice down. I knew it. I freaking knew it. You with your brothers and sister? Yeah. Nick's freaking out. Danny won't come out of her room. Oliver keeps asking where you are. I'll talk to them. Soon, okay? Just hold it down till I figure this out. She nodded through the phone. We need you home, Dad. I hung up and went outside to clear my head. Later that afternoon, I called a lawyer, Mrs. Green. Older lady, sharp as hell. She'd handled a few custody cases for people I knew. She didn't sugarcoat a damn thing. Is your name on the adoption papers for all 4? She asked. Yes, every one of them. Still, she said, with her being the primary caregiver lately and you leaving the house voluntarily, that could be a problem, especially if she tries to paint a story. She will, I said flatly. Then you need leverage. Solid proof. Financial, emotional, whatever you've got. Do you know where the money's going? Is she moving anything around? I don't know, I admitted. Not yet. Then find out. And don't give her an inch. Court's like paperwork, not drama. I hung up and stared at my phone. No text for 2 hours. I should have known that was a setup. She called. I let it ring twice, then picked up. Dan, I don't know what you want me to say. Are you really going to throw everything away over a few emails? You didn't write those emails to a damn pen pal, Lisa. We were talking. It got emotional, yes. But it didn't mean anything. You said you wanted a future with him. She scoffed. I was venting. You don't even know what it's like living with you. You shut down. You ignore me. You treat the house like a motel. And you treat marriage like a hobby. I made a mistake. No, Lisa. A mistake is forgetting to take the trash out. You planned this. You hid it. That's not a mistake. It's a decision. There was a long pause. Then her voice softened. Dan, please don't do this to the kids. You already did, I said. I hung up. Didn't wait for her next excuse. I walked back inside, grabbed a notebook, and started writing down every financial login we had. I was done playing nice. I had just finished listing out every account we shared when Clay walked into the kitchen, tossed a manila folder on the table, and said, "You need to hire someone." I looked up. "What's this?" "Card for a PI. Carla Ruiz. Guy at work used her when his wife cleaned out their savings. Said she found stuff he didn't even think to look for." I raised an eyebrow. "I already got a lawyer. You think I need to start spying now?" Clay leaned in. "Dan, she's lying to your face and probably moving money while you're sitting here making spreadsheets. You want those kids? You want the shop? Then stop playing defense." That hit me square. I called Carla Ruiz that afternoon. She picked up on the second ring, no-nonsense tone. "Ruiz Investigations. How can I help?" I explained the basics. Cheating wife, possible money trouble. For kids I wasn't going to lose to a woman who just torched our marriage. She didn't flinch. "Send me any emails you've got. Financial accounts, too. I'll need written permission to dig into anything tied to your business." We met in person the next morning at a diner off Highway 169. She was in her 40s, dark hair in a tight ponytail, and eyes like a bloodhound. Nothing got past her. "I'll be blunt," she said, sliding a form across the table. "If she's spending your money on this other guy, I'll find it. Hotels, cash withdrawals, duplicate accounts. People think they're slick. They're not." I signed. 3 days later, she texted, "Meet tomorrow. Bring coffee. I've got a folder." We met back at the same booth. She didn't waste time. Opened her folder and started laying it out. "Here's a charge to the Mayo Hotel in Tulsa. 2 nights. Room service. Champagne." She flipped to the next page. "Here's a necklace from Jared. 1,000 for $100. Delivered to her work address." My mouth tightened. "And here's the big one. She opened a second checking account 3 months ago. Been transferring small amounts from your joint business account to it." I froze. "From the shop?" "Yep. Look at this. Same day your payroll bounced 2 weeks ago." She pulled out $800. Label said, "Vendor refund." Total lie. I clenched my fists under the table. She's used the company card for restaurants, gas, even groceries. That's not what business funds are for. "You're telling me she's been stealing?" She nodded. "Plain and simple. This isn't just a cheating case anymore. This is financial abuse. Especially if your name's on all the LLC paperwork." I leaned back, stomach churning. I trusted her with everything. She used to pay the invoices herself. We built that shop together. Carla's voice was steady. "And now she's bleeding it dry. I'll send you a full digital report by tomorrow. Start prepping your legal team." I took the folder home and read through every line until my eyes burned. Hotel visits, gift receipts, ATM logs. She even bought Brandon a set of golf clubs with the business debit card. This wasn't just a betrayal. This was theft. She didn't just wreck our marriage. She was trying to gut the one thing I built from scratch. The thing I was hoping to leave to my kids one day. I emailed everything to Mrs. Green. Then I printed backup copies and stored them in a locked box at Clay's place. I wasn't walking into court empty-handed. The next night, just after 9, my phone lit up with Nick's name. I answered fast. "Hey, bud. You good?" His voice was tight. I heard her. I wasn't even trying to eavesdrop. I was just getting water. I sat up straighter on Clay's couch. "Heard what?" "Mom. On the phone with that Brandon guy. She said you were getting paranoid and that she wished you'd stop digging." She was laughing. I didn't say anything. Nick kept going. "We all knew something was off, Dad. We just didn't want to believe it. Rachel tried to tell me months ago, but I told her she was overthinking." "You're not responsible for this," I said. "None of you are. Oliver cried after school today. Said he didn't want to eat dinner with Mom's mad face. Danny's not talking to anyone." I took a breath. "I'll be by in the morning. We've got Danny's soccer and Oliver's baseball, right?" "Yeah. I'll let them know." I showed up at 8:30 sharp. Lisa didn't come outside when I honked. The front door swung open and Oliver came running, cleats in hand, backpack half-zipped. Danny followed, already in uniform, arms crossed like she'd seen too much for a 13-year-old. Nick helped load their bags into the back of the truck. I gave him a quick nod. "You okay taking them all day?" he asked. "I want to," I said. He looked back at the house, then back at me. "You've got more of us than she does right now. Just so you know." The ride to Danny's game was quiet until halfway through the highway stretch. She looked over at me, dead serious. "Is this about Mom's boyfriend?" I glanced in the rearview mirror. Oliver was focused on his handheld. "Yeah," I said. "No point lying now." She nodded once. I figured. She never talks normal anymore. Always whispers. "You didn't do anything wrong," I said. This is between me and her. You kids are just caught in the middle. Danny shrugged. Still sucks. Yeah, I said. It does. We stayed for both games. I cheered like hell. Bought Gatorades. Took pictures. Danny scored twice and gave me the smallest smile when she walked off the field. Oliver's team lost by 1, but he didn't seem to care. He ran to me like he won the World Series. Afterward, we hit the ice cream place off 61st and Garnett. Oliver got rainbow sprinkles like always. Danny asked for double chocolate, but only ate half. We sat outside on the picnic bench while the sun dropped behind the Walgreens. Are you going to stop being our dad? Oliver asked, licking his cone. I blinked. Where'd you hear that? Mom said you're not really our real dad, because we're adopted. But I thought you were. I leaned forward, both elbows on the table. Hey, look at me. He did. I am your dad. That paper we signed in court? That made it legal. But you were mine way before that. I chose you. I wanted you. That doesn't go away because your mom and I can't fix things. Danny didn't say anything, but she leaned against my arm. I'm not going anywhere, I said. No matter what happens with the house, the lawyers, or your mom. You're stuck with me. Oliver grinned. Good. I dropped them off around 6. Lisa didn't come to the door again. Nick gave me a thumbs up from the porch and walked them inside. I pulled away slow, watching the front window. Whatever Lisa thought she had on her side, it wasn't the kids. That night, after dropping the kids off, I called Carla. I want to talk to him, I said. She didn't ask who. Just said, Brandon works out at a gym off 4th in Detroit. 4 nights a week, right after work. Parking lots usually empty around 7. Perfect. Next day, I parked across the street at 650. Watched the place through the windshield. Guys in hoodies coming in and out, earbuds in, no clue. At 7:05, Brandon walked out, red t-shirt, gym bag slung over his shoulder. He was shorter than I expected. Hair too perfect. That fake fit look you get when you lift just enough to pose, not work. I stepped out, walked straight over. Brandon. He turned, didn't recognize me right away. Yeah. I didn't let him finish. Name's Dan. Lisa's husband. His face dropped. He looked around, like hoping someone else would interrupt. No one did. I just want to talk, I said. You good with that? He nodded, swallowed hard. Yeah, okay. We walked around to the side lot. Quieter there, less traffic. He leaned against a concrete pillar and tried to act casual, but his hands were fidgeting with his gym bag zipper. I didn't waste time. I know everything. The emails, the hotel charges, the golf club she bought you with my company's money. All of it. He opened his mouth. I raised my hand. Don't try to explain it. You don't need to. I'm not here for apologies. He looked nervous now, shifting his weight from foot to foot. Look, man, Lisa told me the marriage was already done. She said you two hadn't been together in years. That's so. I stepped closer. Then why is she still living in my house? Using my business funds? Wearing the ring? He didn't answer. She left her laptop open. I saw what you two said about me. About the future you're planning. While I was busting my ass to keep the lights on. I didn't mean to mess things up, he said, voice shaking a little. You didn't mess anything up. She did. But here's the part you need to understand. I've got 4 kids. And they're watching this whole damn thing fall apart. Danny asked me last weekend if I was going to stop being her dad. My 11-year-old thinks I left because of something he did. Brandon dropped his eyes. You think this is some rom-com where you guys sneak around and nobody gets hurt? I asked. She's lying to your face the same way she lied to mine. You're not the first escape plan she's built. Just the dumbest. He finally looked up. So what do you want? I want you to disappear. He blinked. What? You heard me. Cut all contact. No calls. No texts. No secret meetups. You're done. Or I'll go nuclear. He scoffed. You gonna hit me or something? I smiled. No. I'm gonna mail every photo, receipt, and credit card record to your boss, your parents, your landlord, your church, wherever you think you've got a clean image. Because right now, what you've got is a file with your name on it. And trust me, it's airtight. He stared at me for a second. I saw the panic kick in behind his eyes. You serious? Dead serious. He hesitated. Fine. I'm out. I swear. Make sure you are, I said. Because if I even think you're back in the picture, I'll torch whatever fake future you think you're building. He nodded, slower this time. Okay. I stepped back, gave him one long final look. You'll forget her faster than you think, I said. She's not who you think she is. Then I turned and walked to my truck. Didn't look back. Felt like I'd been holding my breath for weeks, and finally let it out. Control, I had it again. The next morning, Carla called. "You're going to want to sit down," she said. I was already halfway to my office at the shop, but I turned around and headed straight for Clay's place. When she showed up, she dropped a flash drive on the kitchen table and pulled out a stack of printouts. "She forged your name." I didn't even blink. "On what?" "2 small business loans. Both under 30 grand, signed last fall. She used your credentials, your shop's EIN, everything. Signature doesn't match exactly, but it's close enough a bank clerk didn't blink." I leaned forward. "How much total?" 35,000. I rubbed my face. "Jesus. That's not all. She also transferred 30 grand from your joint college savings accounts. Same day as one of the hotel charges." I stared at the paperwork, trying to breathe through it. "That account's been building since Rachel was 10. Carla nodded. "I know. She left a trail. Pulled from all 4 kids' accounts equally. Labeled it as tuition deposit in the transaction notes." "For who? Brandon?" She didn't answer. I didn't need her to. That afternoon, I called my accountant, Jerry, and Mrs. Green. We met at her office. I laid out everything Carla gave me. Jerry's face turned red halfway through the second page. "She used the shop's tax ID on this loan application. That's federal fraud, Dan." Mrs. Green tapped her pen on the desk. "We have forgery, financial abuse, misappropriation of business funds, and potential tax violations if she didn't report any of this properly." "So what's the move?" I asked. "File it all. Get it documented before she does. Don't say a word to her. Let her keep digging her hole. The court needs evidence, not emotion." Jerry added, "Freeze the accounts now. Change your payroll logins. Lock her out of everything." I nodded. Done. I left that meeting with a box full of ammo and a stomach full of acid. That night, Nick texted, "Call me when you're alone. You need to hear this." I stepped outside, stood in Clay's driveway, and called him. "She was on the phone with her lawyer," he said immediately. "I heard her say she's going after the house and half the shop." I didn't say anything. "She told the lawyer you abandoned the family and emotionally neglected her. Said she was the one holding things together." I clenched my jaw. "She said that?" "Yeah. She's rewriting history, Dad." Of course she was. She wasn't just trying to take my business. She was building a case where I was the villain. Like I just walked out one day because I couldn't handle being a grown-up. But now I had the facts. I had Brandon's texts, Carla's files, the bank records, loan forms, proof she dipped into our kids' futures to fund some fantasy life with a guy she barely knew. I didn't feel angry anymore. I felt ready. "I'll handle it," I told Nick. "You sure?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "I'm done playing defense." We hung up. I walked back inside, grabbed the file folder off the counter, and dropped it into my briefcase. The pain was still there, deep in my gut, but now it had direction. She could twist the story however she wanted. The truth? It was locked in, and I had it. I stood in the hallway outside courtroom 3B, flipping through pages I already had memorized. Carla's reports, the bank records, forged loan paperwork. The folder felt heavier than it was. Mrs. Green nudged my elbow. "You ready?" "As I'll ever be." We walked in together. Lisa was already there, sitting beside her attorney in a beige blazer like this was a job interview. She didn't look at me, just stared straight ahead like I was a stranger. The bailiff called the room to order. The judge was a gray-haired man with sharp eyes and zero patience for drama. Lisa's attorney went first. They leaned into the abandonment angle hard. Claimed I suddenly vacated the family home. Left Lisa with 4 kids and no support. Then came the emotional neglect card. Years of isolation, no affection, deteriorating communication. Lisa dabbed her eyes with a tissue right on cue. She devoted herself to the children, her lawyer said, to their upbringing. Meanwhile, Mr. Walker buried himself in his business. My jaw flexed, but I didn't move. Mrs. Green stood up like she'd been waiting her whole life for this moment. "Your Honor," she said, "let's talk about facts." She opened her binder and started laying out every piece of evidence like dominoes. First, emails between the respondent and a man named Brandon, who she claims is just a friend. They discuss sexual encounters, secret plans, and moving forward as a couple. Lisa shifted in her seat. Second, financial records, clearly showing respondent diverted nearly $35,000 from small business loans acquired through forged signatures. And yes, We have handwriting analysis backing that claim. She dropped the analysis sheet onto the bench. Third, we have withdrawals totaling over $30,000 from the children's college funds, moved without consent. The judge flipped through the copies. His eyebrows arched. Mrs. Green wasn't done. Fourth, respondent used company funds, payroll and supply accounts, to purchase hotel stays, jewelry, meals, and entertainment. These expenses are all tied to the affair. Lisa's lawyer tried to object. The judge waved it off. I'll allow it. Then Rachel was called. She sat straight, hands in her lap, voice steady. She stopped showing up to dinners. Always on her phone, always hiding in her room or leaving for errands. We knew something was wrong, but she kept lying to us. Nick went next. She told her lawyer she was holding the family together, he said, glaring at Lisa. She was ripping it apart while we were begging her to act normal. Lisa finally broke. She started crying. Real tears now, not the courtroom kind. She's still their mother, her lawyer said, trying to recover. She deserves partial custody, if not equal. The judge looked up from his notes. I've heard enough. The room went still. Mr. Walker, you are awarded full physical and legal custody of all 4 children, effective immediately. Mrs. Walker will receive supervised visitation until further evaluation is completed. Lisa's head dropped. Regarding the business, Mrs. Walker forfeits all claim to ownership. This includes any profit-sharing, decision-making rights, or financial stake. Her lawyer whispered something. She didn't respond. As for the marital home, the judge continued, Mrs. Walker's share will be liquidated and applied directly toward repaying the misused business funds and college account withdrawals. Remaining debt will be her sole responsibility. He looked over the rim of his glasses. Minimal spousal support granted, $300 a month for 1 year. No extension. The gavel dropped. That was it. I packed up my folder without a word. Lisa never looked my way. She just sat there with her hands in her lap, eyes locked on the floor. Outside, the sun was out, but it didn't feel warm. Mrs. Green patted my shoulder. You did what you had to do. You protected your kids. That's the only win that matters. I nodded, but it didn't feel like winning. It felt like crawling out of a burning building with nothing but your name still intact. I walked to my truck, loosened my tie, and sat behind the wheel for 5 full minutes. Then I drove straight to the school to pick up Danny and Oliver. They were waiting out front, backpacks on, smiles wide. That felt like a win. We pulled into the driveway just after 5. Our driveway. White house, corner lot, solid backyard. Big enough for 4 kids and 1 exhausted dad trying to start over. Oliver jumped out first. Can I pick my room now? You already did, remember? I said, laughing. It's the one with the dinosaur poster you hung last week. He disappeared inside with his backpack bouncing behind him. Danny followed, headphones around her neck, still cautious but smiling more than she used to. Nick carried in a box of tools like he'd been doing it his whole life. Garage still needs shelving, he said. And a fridge. I clapped him on the back. Add it to the list. Rachel had already left for college the week before. She texted that morning, I miss home already. Never thought I'd say that. I sat on the porch that night with a beer in one hand and my boots kicked off. The air felt different, not lighter, just clearer. Work was better than ever. Word got around about the divorce, but not the drama. All they knew was I got full custody and still showed up to the shop every morning by 7. People respected that. Customers said things like, you're a solid guy, Dan, and glad to see good people winning for once. We brought on 2 new techs and booked out 3 weeks solid. Life was rebuilding itself, one oil change at a time. A few Saturdays later, I took Oliver to baseball practice. Danny tagged along with her book and her attitude. It was a warm morning, the kind that made Oklahoma feel like it was trying too hard to be Texas. I stood near the fence while the coach barked out drills. That's when I saw her. Sitting on the bleachers, sunglasses on, scrubs still half wrinkled, like she came straight from a shift. Blonde hair tied back, water bottle in her lap. She was watching her son, but her eyes kept drifting to the rest of the field like she was lost in her own thoughts. Our kids ended up in the same batting group. She cheered when her boy made contact. I clapped when Oliver caught a pop fly. We both looked at each other at the same time and smiled. One of those, yeah, we're doing our best kinds of smiles. After practice, she walked over. You Dan? She asked. Guilty. She laughed. Anna. That's my son Luke out there. Oliver's mine. Nice swing on your kid. Thanks. He's better than me already. I nodded. Mine too. We talked for maybe 10 minutes. She was a nurse, just moved from Owasso. Divorced last year. She said it flat, without shame. I like that. No sugarcoating. Before we left, Danny walked up next to me and nodded toward Anna. She's cool, she whispered. Just saying. I smiled. I'm not rushing anything. You should at least text her, she said, turning to head back to the truck. Later that night, my phone buzzed. Anna, coffee Tuesday. I didn't respond right away. I looked over at Oliver on the couch, Nick on the floor watching film from last week's football game, Danny flipping through a magazine. The house finally felt steady. I smiled and typed back. I'd like that. Saturday morning smelled like bacon, toast, and peace. I was at the stove flipping pancakes while Oliver and Danny argued over who got the last chocolate chip one. Nick was in the living room, tossing a football in the air and talking about his first college scrimmage next week. Rachel was home from school for the weekend, curled up at the table with coffee and a smile I hadn't seen on her face in a long time. The house wasn't fancy, but it was ours. And for the first time in a long while, it felt like home. Dad, Danny said, can we go to the lake tomorrow if it doesn't rain? Only if Nick promises not to throw me off the dock this time, Rachel added. Nick grinned. No promises. Oliver shoved a plate across the table. You made 5, but there's 4 of us. That means bonus pancake. That means I get 1, I said, grabbing it and dodging a fork from Danny. I cooked. I eat. Laughter rolled through the room, loud and real. No tension under it. No quiet stares or whispered arguments behind doors. Just normal. I wiped my hands on a towel as the doorbell rang. Clay walked in carrying a bag from Rudy's barbecue and 2 sodas under his arm. Thought I'd drop off lunch, he said, and see if you're still standing. I nodded toward the table. Barely, but we're fed. He looked around the room, took in the kids, the warmth, the mess of plates and laughter. You good, he asked. I looked at him, then looked around. At Rachel sipping coffee. At Danny drawing on the placemats. At Oliver humming to himself. At Nick talking plays with ESPN in the background. Yeah, I said. Really good. Anna texted around noon. Luke wants to bring you banana muffins. We'll trade for football tips. I texted back a thumbs up and walked out to the porch with Clay. The sun was out. My phone buzzed with new appointments from the shop. 3 new customers by referral. A year ago, I left my own house with a duffel bag and no plan. Now I had my name cleared, my kids safe, my business thriving, and something I didn't expect to find again. Hope. Lisa's betrayal burned everything down, sure. But what rose from it? It was honest. No lies, no guessing, no pretending. We had truth now. We had freedom. And for the first time in a long damn time, we had peace.